Welcome to Matt Reviews Books. I am Matt, and this is a book review channel dedicated to older books. That is to say, they are not coming out next summer. They are not coming out today. They didn't, in fact, come out last month. But, in fact, they came out years ago. If that sounds like something that you're interested in doing, which is listen to me talk about old books, then this is your place. And go ahead, subscribe, follow along, comment. This week we are talking about Sarah Vowell, the Wordy Shipmates. And if those look like little pilgrims down below, that's because they look like little pilgrims. Why? Because this book is about the 1630 Massachusetts Bay Colony. And what is the Massachusetts Bay Colony? Why, golly, that would be Boston, more or less, with some of the other little towns around it. And that's not to be confused with Plymouth Rock. That was 1620, whole different section of history. This is 1630, Massachusetts Bay Colony. Synopsis! Sarah Vowell takes a look at the philosophical and spiritual, i.e. religious, reasons why the Pilgrims left England for America. And she also looks at, specifically, the differences between Puritans. And Sarah Vowell looks actually at the discussion within that colony, the philosophical debates and the religious debates that actually would continue on through today. That's why it's relevant. The Puritans, just like us today, debated the role of religion in society, in civil society. They debated the nature of government, civil government, and civil society versus a religious community. They really debated and fought amongst themselves the application of the law to individuals within the community. And Sarah Vowell does something interesting using, instead of having, for one thing, she doesn't have chapters. For another thing, she doesn't use an academic voice in her prose. So it's a very casual, modern vernacular that is, in some ways, it has a sardonic tone to it, but something that very much modern Americans will relate to. But I think it's pretty modern and casual vernacular that makes big ideas from the 17th century accessible to 21st century Americans. They were still in a medieval mindset about us and them, the known people within your community, the close, tight-knit community, versus the outsider. And in the New World, in North America, to their mind, there was nobody more outsider than Native Americans. She ties it all together, and she looks at it, and she illustrates how those early arguments filtered down to today. So that brings us to thoughts. I really like this book. It took me a second to get into it because I was expecting something with a little bit more structured, academic, disciplined prose. And this is very relaxed, casual. This is, the Wordy Shipmates is much more along the lines of, instead of an academic writing, just how would you and I be looking at it? What's the way that you would translate dense 17th century religious theological discussion into a 21st century? God, that sounds so boring, but it's not. contrary to what may be popularly perceived, Puritans were not anti-intellectual. They read, and they were very literate, and they taught their children to read, even though they had a level of conservatism about them socially. They were much more warm people within that structure. And so they were also, for example, we think of them as buttoned up and stiff about sex, when it's just outside of marriage they were buttoned up and stiff. I think one of the things I really enjoyed about this book is that Sarah Vowell does an excellent job of creating human beings. These are flawed people, but they're still people. I have a new appreciation, I think. With that said, thank you for watching. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope we made this far. Like I said, subscribe, like, let me know you're out there. Hi. And I will see you next time.